Funding for the production of Folks is provided in part by the Friends of LPB.
What's a typical day like for Chef Austin Leslie?
And why is the duck at Didee's so famous?
Hello, everyone. I'm Rob Hinton.
And I'm Genevieve Stewart. Today on Folks, some outstanding black chefs and black-owned restaurants. First, we'll visit the new Didee's in Baton Rouge. Then, we'll travel to New Orleans to sample some of the cuisine of Chez Helene's restaurant.
Last but not least, we'll taste the food of Chef Charles Bailey of the Capitol House Hotel in Baton Rouge. A lot of stuffed bellies today on Folks.
Everybody says folks, just plain old folks. Everybody's just people all over the world. Folks who live, folks got to give, folks got to care, folks got to share. Our world is small, so very small. What touches one of us, who touches us all? To stay alive, just to survive, folks got to be in harmony. Everybody just folks, just plain old folks, just plain old folks. Everybody just folks, everybody just folks, just plain old folks, just plain old folks. Everybody just folks.
Didee's is a name that is significant among the laurels of Louisiana restaurants. Since 1900, Didee's has been titillating the palates of restaurateurs who love good Louisiana cuisine. Didee's began in Opelousas in the late 1800s. It moved to Baton Rouge and truly became a family affair, with the fourth generation of the Perrodin family now involved in the business. At the age of 2, Herman Perrodin began following his grandfather, nicknamed Didee, around the restaurant's kitchen. Even then, the restaurant had an established reputation, drawing crowds from great distances. As a toddler, Herman Perrodin was continuing the legacy of fine cuisine that extends 90 years in the Perrodin family.
Well, I'm in the restaurant business all my life. I was raised in the kitchen in the restaurant, my grandfather's restaurant, since probably the time I was 2 years old up until today. And I won't tell you how long that's been. So actually, I've been working as a professional for 42 years. But most of my experience, well, it's such a wide and varied experience that it would take all day to tell you about. I worked nightclubs, country clubs, gambling casinos, bars, entertainment places of all descriptions on the railroad, and naturally for my father. And that was the best experience I had.
Tell me about the original Didee.
For my grandfather, he started out in the later 1800s. And he used to have right across the street from the old Lacombe Hotel, which is right at the Courthouse Square in Opelousas. He had a small, it was like a meeting place. It was a coffee house, really. It was a cafe. It was in true style. And the sisters, aunts, or something, they would always be bringing something over there for him because he had long hours during the harvest time. And for them to eat, and different ones would prepare things, and the people who would be in there having a drink or whatever they were doing, or playing cards, or I don't know what the hell they were doing, but he would always share his food with them. And so then it got to a point where, because we didn't have the nice highways and all this, and it takes a long time for a horse and buggy to get from, maybe a mile is a long way, So he started preparing things in the place for himself, and for people who would just sit around, in the afternoon talking. It was almost like a meeting at the courthouse,
How did you come into that famous duck recipe?
Well, the duck recipe evolved as a thing that my father approached because of the fact that the ducks that we used to have after when we started importing ducks from Long Island and everything else, it's quite a different duck than raised on the yard, or quite a different duck from a wild duck. So the problem existed because none of us like fat as such. It's how to prepare this thing to reduce it and to get at least a pound of fat. From every duck that I cook, I get at least a pound of fat rendered. If the duck weighs 4 3/4 pounds, you can bet your bottom dollar that I would have the equivalent of a pound of grease from each one. In other words, when 6 ducks come out of a roasting pan, I have almost a gallon of pure fat. And my father just experimented with it and different processes. He was thinking about different things that he could think of, from being raised on a farm, how you render pork and how you do this, and he came about it, and we just finally refined it to a point where found out it was very easy to do, but it's just some things you never think about that you know about all the time, but, you know, when you find out about it, you just remember it. You know, it's like a dream. You don't even remember yet. Never knew it.
2 of Didee's chefs have been in training by Herman Perrodin since they were 10 years old. They, too, are like a part of the family, having stayed with the Perrodins at all 3 of the restaurant's former locations. These chefs have dedicated their relatively young lives to the art of food preparation. Didee's customers have been just as dedicated, some following the rich aromatic flavors for years from one location to another.
It's wonderful, like old times.
You've been a customer for quite a few years?
Yes, not only here in Baton Rouge, but also when they ran the place in Opelousas 30, 35 years ago. I've been coming to Didee's, and I'm back again at the new location.
What is your favorite dish?
The Long Island duck and the chicken sauce piquant. Wonderful, wonderful.
A lot of good calories.
Oh, yes, I know my doctor doesn't approve of it, but it is wonderful food.
What is your favorite dish? Since you've been coming here for 10 years, you're well-versed on the menu. What is your favorite dish out of all of them?
Well, now, I've been coming here for a long time, and he makes special dishes for me sometimes. He can really do that, too. But I like the duck, and I like the ribs.
What are some of the special dishes he's fixed for you?
He's made some Yucatan shrimp, and he's made some Alaskan crab made in a special kind of way, and oh, goodness gracious, I could go on and on. Pork loin, and just all kinds of dishes. Been quite a number.
Although Didee's renown was well known among gourmets, its former location failed to attract new customers. Within a few weeks of moving the restaurant's site, Didee's went from a skeleton crew of 2 employees to 45. With the new image, Herman Perrodin did as much business in the first week at the new location as he did in 1 year at the former site. Almost a business phenomena. Even with a whole new following, Didee's old clients have remained loyal. That's a delicious-looking dish you have there. What are you eating today?
Oh, today I'm having veal, and it's served with rice and a very good vegetable, which has 3 different kinds of corn, and it's very good.
Have you been coming to Didee's before?
Yes, I have. I used to go to the Didee's, which was over on, I think it was Lafayette Street, and there he had a rare specialty, just as he has here today.
That's duck, undoubtedly, Didee's duck. Are you enjoying it today?
Yes, it's a royal duck. It's delicious.
I know great chefs don't like to divulge their secrets, but can you give us a hint about the duck recipe?
The secret is in dedication. The stove does the cooking. I just orchestrate it. And I like to be, I'm always a pretty controversial person in everything I do. And but my presentation of food is just my approach to even sometimes confuse people, to let them see what my approach to good taste is. And so I actually cook for myself, although I never eat the food. But it's really to excite people, to make their eating an adventure, you know. And so it's just like anything else, like playing music or painting, you know. It's a way of expressing yourself. That's all it is. Anybody can do it.
So you're not going to give out your recipe?
There's no when you buy a duck, you could get the recipe on the back of the duck you buy. Sure, that's a fact.
Well, true to the form of other chefs, he wouldn't divulge the secret. Although Didee's is noted for wild game and Creole-style seafood, the bread pudding and other dishes have raised a few eyebrows as well. How was that great dessert you're tasting?
That was fine. It was excellent. I love bread pudding, and it's prepared a special way. I assume whatever his secret recipe is delicious.
What was that you were tasting that had your eyebrows going in that bread pudding?
I don't know, some sort of liquor, maybe brandy. It was great.
You're going to be able to go back to your office now?
Oh, yeah, sure. No problem.
And next time you come, you're going to get that bread pudding again?
Oh, yeah, some to go, too.
Some people take their dining quite seriously. If you were rating Didee's on a scale of 1 to 10, and of course the owner's sitting right next to you, so you better be kind, how would you rate it?
I would rate it a 9. There are only a few restaurants in the world that rate a 10, in my opinion.
Well, then a 9 is a very high rating in your opinion, then.
Yes, it is. The service is excellent. The food was very unique and much different than any other food prepared in South Louisiana.
While visiting and researching a famous Louisiana restaurant, one must, of course, taste the food to believe it. It's all a part of the research, all in the line of duty, of course. What is your greatest satisfaction in the restaurant business?
I guess because maybe it's my vanity or whatever people want to call it, but it's what I really think of myself. And I get such a great satisfaction in being able to do something, maybe just a little bit better than someone else, that gives people pleasure.
I have a confession to make. Oftentimes, when we have an assignment in New Orleans, we arrange our schedule so that we can eat at Chez Helene's. Sometimes eating there is even a priority over our assignment. I can truly say that it is definitely one of our favorite eating spots. There are so many things that are synonymous with New Orleans. For example, Dixieland Jazz, Mardi Gras, and Chez Helene's. For some 20 years, Chez Helene has been a landmark in New Orleans. Located on the corner of Lahart and Robertson, Chez Helene's is a family-run restaurant, and one of its owners is Chef Austin Leslie.
In 1964, we opened up Chez Helene, but my aunt was in business since 1942. The name of the business was Howard's Eatery. She married a barber on Rampart Street, and in that time, she would do the cooking at the home, you know, and he had eaten all over Rampart Street, see? So I mean, he recognized the kind of quality of food that she was putting out, and he told her, let's face it, we could open up a restaurant. And from that part of it, it was a very small restaurant, and then my sister, my mother, my uncle, my nephew, we all worked in different restaurants. And as she was growing up in years, she always wanted a restaurant, but she needed some assistance. So, like I said, I was at D.H. Holmes, you know, so she said, well, let's give it a shot. So my expertise, my uncles, and all of ours, we combined it and put it together, and it took us, I'd say, like maybe 6 months, you know, to start it out, but we all kept our jobs. We didn't more or less like was trying to take the money out of the business first. And then all of a sudden I looked at it and I told her, I said, well, it's time for us to get away from the other job and put a full time in here. So we went at Chez Helene about 24 hours a day. She worked in the day and I worked at night.
Chef Leslie is very well known in the New Orleans food circle, and just one look at the walls at Chez Helene tells you that the restaurant is not lacking for publicity. The food, to say the least, is delicious, excellent, and wonderful. Chef Leslie told us about his favorite dish and the dish that appears to be the most popular among his customers.
I like the gumbo. And the popular dish is we do the 3 pieces of chicken, stuffed pepper, and potato salad, you know. And that really, you know, that sells. The fried chicken, honestly, I mean, it's a different experience to anyone. And, you know, just like I'm saying it, but I've heard a lot of people, you know, even people that's in the chicken business come here and check this chicken out, you know. And I tell them how to fry it, and they tell me I never tell them the right thing. But really, it's hard work, you know. It's really hard work. Keeping your fryer clean, you know, and keep the freshness there and doing it right every day. You know, more or less like you're only as good as the last thing you did. So never try and rely on your reputation if you're not doing it right. Gumbo is one of the things that I've worked with for quite some time, you know. See, in New Orleans, you could go and get 200 gumbos. There's a different gumbo in every restaurant, see. But I'm pretty lucky, I'd say, because they have 2 places down the street that sells the hot sausage and the smoked sausage. And I have access to these places at any time, you know. And I use their smoked sausage and their hot sausage. And then I'll put the picnic ham in there and the shrimp and the crab. See, what I'm saying is I put 5 ingredients in there, and in also doing that, these ingredients do not break up, and there's always something in the pot. Now, I'm not knocking chicken or, you know, or these other things you put in gumbo, but all I'm trying to tell you, this way, for an out-of-towner or a person that's in town or the regulars, they come here for that gumbo. And you'll be surprised when I do things for people. If they have a repast, you know, I might send a gumbo to somebody's house. And if one of my customers is over there eating it, they recognize that gumbo.
Cooking is definitely a way of life for Leslie. It is something he really enjoys and became interested in at an early age.
New Orleans is my home, you know. And when I was a kid, I used to sell seasoning bunches. What you call is that a lady at Tonty and New Orleans Avenue, and we used to go around. She grew a lot of shallots, onions, celery, parsley, you know, all the stuff that goes into food, you know. And I used to go around with her, you know, we'd go there and pick it out of the garden, you know, and go from house to house and sell it. And then I'm the baby of the family, so that makes, I used to live in a lot of people's houses that would do a lot of cooking. And I'd smell that food, and I couldn't wait for the food really to finish, you know. So I was really interested in food. And then my aunt, about 1942, she opened up a restaurant. And we used to go in there and give her a hand, you know. And then I started selling papers. But I was always around food, and I always loved food. So, I mean, I had a very good eye for it. So, and I like to do the preparation, you know, and watch. Sometimes we used to take like the okra, you know, and I'd be cutting the okra, and we used to stick the okra ends on our face and make mashes out of it, you know. So then one day I was in Sheeton Nuttall, and a fella asked me that I wanted to be a chef's assistant, you know. So I went to D.H. Holmes, and the rest is history.
Who has had the most influence on your cooking style?
2 people. The first one was a gentleman called Bill Turner. He had owned a restaurant on Rampart Street, and it was like with the fried chicken. And we did everything with the chicken, man. We sold chicken liver, chicken gizzards, chicken necks. And today, you know, like I still said, even my aunt, when she was in business, we used to make a gizzard stew, you know, in brown gravy and served with rice. And you'd be surprised how sweet that is, you know. And then the other gentleman was the chef at D.H. Holmes. His name was Russell Millette. He took a lot of time with me. In fact, he started, you know, from the bottom to the top. And a lot of people, when I first went there, they was telling me, say, you can't work with this chef because he hollers a lot, you know. And I just went in there and do the things that he asked me to do, and always, you know, go in there trying to help somebody. And I know how to do that. So that's a key to a lot of things, you know. Give them, if you're assistant, be the assistant and don't take the head. And then when the head man leaves and he put it in your charge, then you take over.
Chez Helene's is called the House of Good Food. And if you're looking for some good French or Creole food, or if you just have a taste for something on the soul side, well, Chez Helene's is definitely the place to be. The menu offers a great deal of variety. Here's a list of the house specialties: baked stuffed half lobsters with melted butter, chicken liver omelet, fried breaded lake shrimp, grilled calf's liver, oysters Bienville, oysters Rockefeller, and tenderloin of trout.
You've experienced a lot of success over the years. What do you see in the future for Chez Helene?
Well, I'd say we're gonna stay right here in this area. You know, right now I say it's like a landmark. You know, and the people, it's a black community. You know, and the people around it respect it. And sometimes you might come in here and get 60-40 with the clientele, you know. Sometimes you might get a blue cows. And see, I want the restaurant for everybody, not just for one particular group, you know. I don't believe in being prejudiced, you know, with one particular group. I want to share this restaurant with everyone. I want them to come from the downtown part of the city. I want the tourists to come in, and I want my neighbors to come in, you know. But I also want them to respect the place.
Charles Bailey is currently executive chef with the Capitol House Hotel in Baton Rouge. He has devoted 32 years of his life to the art of fine food preparation. Bailey is also the chief contributor to a cookbook that has sold 60,000 copies. He delivers numerous lectures and professional seminars for other chefs. Gourmets and professional chefs alike delight in his colorful presentation of fine cuisine. Charles Bailey was always interested in cooking. Although he wanted to be a professional athlete, he always managed to sneak cooking utensils into his school athletic bag. The cooking utensils won the battle, and he rose to become executive chef at some of Louisiana's finest hotels. Bailey's expertise at lectures brought him before the public eye, and he became the founding chef of the famous New Orleans Creole Feast food tasting festival. Chef Bailey, why are you in such demand for lectures, demonstrations, food tasting festivals?
I goes into details with people. Most people who give a lecture on food or anything, especially food, they just run through it, and you have to try to absorb it here and there. But when I give a lecture, for example, I was at Garchow's this last Saturday in the Cajun Kitchen from 11 to 2 in Contana Mall here. And whatever product I'm using, whatever herbs and spice I'm using, I give a history on why this herb is used and where it originated from and why you can't use it in this item and so on and so forth. If it's a piece of beef, why this piece of beef is called what it is and what part of the animal this beef is cut from. Poultry, the same different thing, and so many different ways where you can prepare a dish from that product.
Chef Bailey is going to share with us one of his recipes prepared especially for folks. So let's follow him into the kitchen as he prepares for us steak a la Genevieve.
Begin by, let's make the preparation of the beef. We've already seasoned it. We have a hot pan here, and the purpose of having your pan hot when you're sauteing, your pan must be hot at all times because it's only a few seconds it should stay in the pan. You're not roasting, you're sauteing. We're going to make a presentation. Now, I'm using a little butter. For the simple reason you mix butter with oil is because the butter will burn very quickly. So what we got here, we got butter and oil mixed, and it goes in with the beef. Now, we'll take a piece of the fresh catfish, take a little sliver of catfish like this, and we'll take a couple of shrimps. We go with the flour first, then into the egg. We do it just a little bit opposite, and I'm going to show you the purpose why we do it the opposite from normal way you would do egg white and then the flour. Because of the fact, now we're going to put that in the same pan with the beef. But you notice we let the beef get a little color before you place it in there for the simple reason. The beef take longer to cook. Now watch very closely. And once I place this in here very neatly, it's still not around the beef. If you can, I want you to see the color because we're fixing to move it over now, place it on the plate, and we're going to make the sauce. So what we're doing, we have that there. We're going to place the fish as so. And what we do here, since this Miss Genevieve, a la Genevieve here, I want you to observe, you always have to keep your colors sort of orientated there so you will see. Now, we just for argument's sake, we place the broccoli here. Now, we're fixing to do the sauce. Now, you notice we have nothing there. We have no brown gravy. We're going to make the brown sauce, what we call something like a Meunier sauce, right out of the same thing. But we use heavy cream. The purpose of using the heavy cream is that it gives a quick body, and for sauteing things that you're going to use right away, it's thick and quick. You don't have to use a ruler. You observe that we had chopped the green onions before, so we place them in the same pan here. Have you noticed the nice sauce here? with your shallots. Again, a lot of time when people put sauce on a product, they feel like the product has to be drowned with sauce. You don't have to drown the product with the sauce. You just only want the sauce to complement the product that you're preparing. Complete product, the shrimps, the catfish, the broccoli, the tornadoes, on the crouton, the nice potato, nice tomato, the nice rosette of cauliflower there, which make a complete picture of the dish.
As you can see, I have consumed a good bit of my meal already, but I wanted to give you the final verdict on steak and catfish and shrimp a la Genevieve. Since the etiquette books say you aren't supposed to talk with your mouth full, I thought I had better tell you, before I take the final bite, that it's Charles Bailey's food sounds good, too. Crepes ambrosia, curry cauliflower soup, coconut fried shrimp, and peanut butter ice cream pie. These will be among the wide repertoire of menu items featured at the chef's new restaurant to open in July of '84 to be called Bailey's. What else? Bailey's will be one of 2 minority-owned restaurants in Catfish Town, Baton Rouge's newly renovated riverfront development. What is going to be the hallmark or trademark of Bailey's?
Creole Cajun cuisine. I'm a firm believer. Louisiana is the food capital of the world. It should be if it's not. And being my career started in Louisiana, and the food that I prepared made me reach the peak where I am today. And I'm a firm believer in the Cajun Creole cuisine, which is a delicacy and it's an elegant gourmet side of food that cannot be gotten in your East Coast or West Coast or anywhere else.
If the content expressions of customers are any indication, Bailey's should have a steady clientele. How are you enjoying that delicious soup?
That's very good. Chef Bailey does a real good job when it comes to his food, especially his soups.
What kind of soup is that?
Well, I'd say it's probably a shrimp bisque or something. That's good.
How long have you been eating here?
Well, let's see, since 1960. So this is my 24th year down here with the legislature.
How would you rank Chef Bailey out of all the chefs?
Well, I can truthfully say he's probably the best one we've had here in 20 years.
How much did he pay you for that?
Oh, I'm not going to tell. No.
That's our program for this week. Thanks for watching.
Next week on Folks, we'll be back with some information on legal services available for people on low incomes.
Until then, make it a good week.
Funding for the production of Folks is provided in part by the Friends of LPB.